at least some portion of this money they have to legalize in order to use them in the international system, and that is money laundering. Now, methods of money laundering, there are so many methods exploited by terrorism. Wire transfer or electronic banking, they exploit this. Cash deposits into their accounts. Informal value transfer system like the undial system or the hawala system. And cash smuggling, they can smuggle cash, they can courier the cash, or they can carry the money by agents. Gambling, they can use the dirty money for gambling, and if they win, it's clean money. And they buy insurance policies at higher premium and cash them with dirty money, then it becomes legal. And there can be business ownership like running restaurants, running petrol sheds. Many business enterprises, they invest the seed money and they get the clean money in profit. And there can be shell corporation, that is bogus corporation purely created for the sake of money transfer. And then they purchase real estate in various capitals of the world and they earn money. And then credit card advance payment, you buy a credit card and you deposit a lot of money into your credit card, and what you withdraw is clean money. And then also ATM operation. In some countries, they permit some agencies to load money into the ATM machines. And terrorists use this method to store their dirty money, and then they get the clean check at the end of the day. And if you look at the economic cost of terrorism, yesterday we heard how Pakistan is affected and how much money spent on war. So similarly, if you look at the economic cost of terrorism, it's huge. I will give you an example a little later. Mainly for a developing country, the most concerned thing is that it affects the foreign direct investment. And if you are depending on tourism, that has a drastic consequences on the tourism industry. And also it can have a great impact on other industries like airline industry and shipping industry. And when you are having an attack on an airport or a port, the insurance premiums goes up, and then even the physical security measures goes up, and then you have to pay risk allowances. All that cost money. When you talk about the cost distinction, there are direct costs as a result of terrorism, and then there are indirect costs. The direct cost is that you can, it can incur loss of lives, physical injuries, it can destroy buildings, damage infrastructure, and reduce short-term commerce. Then secondary or indirect cost is it can increase the insurance premium, you have to pay compensation, you have to pay risk allowances. Now this can result in economic growth of a country and rising employment, and then it can lead to the inflation of a country. Now I have taken one simple example from Sri Lanka, some of the projects which were completed during the last 10 years, like for example Katunayak Expressway, Southern Highway, Hambantota Port. The total amount that the government has spent on these projects comes to 3,190 million US dollars. That is roughly 3.2 billion US dollars. And the Asian Economic Institute has estimated the cost of war in Sri Lanka to be 200 billion US dollars. You can imagine if we could use that 200 billion US dollars over a period of 26 years, how much this country could have been developed. So this is the economic cost of terrorism. Then if you look at the LTTE case per se, they raised large amount of money through various methods. Actually, they were the best in terrorist financing. And one of the LTTE overseas operative and a Sea Tiger leader told me practically everything for their sustenance came across the sea towards the latter part of the war. And then while these supplies were reaching, they were able to carry on, prolong the war for a long time in Sri Lanka. There was large-scale migration due to the conflict, and most of these migrants became the powerful diaspora, settled in Canada, America, Europe, Australia, Malaysia. Now they became the major source of funding for the LTTE. The Human Rights Watch estimate in 2006 between 600,000 to 800,000 Tamil diaspora living abroad. And how did the LTTE earn money? Return on investment. They bought property, they spent money, they invested the seed money on many petrol sheds, liquor stores, convenience stores, and then they earned the money, even Hindu temples and churches. And then they carried out various criminal activities. There was gang-based violence, there was narcotic transportation, so they earned a lot of money through that. And then through various front organizations, charitable organizations and front organization. And also they had mother tongue school, Tamil Chola school, and they started the school, and then they encourage their people to send their children to their schools only, and they earn money. Then prepaid phone cards, they used to buy the bulk telephone or calling time, and then they retail it very small quantities, which was at a very cheaper rate, and they forced people to buy that card. Of course, people benefited because it was much cheaper, and they earn huge amount of money. And also satellite, they had their own satellite, they had own TV channels, and Tamil people had to watch the satellite channel, and through that they get lots of money. And also the LTT is the only terrorist organization in the world who actually registered all the Tamils living abroad, and then they were given a PIN number. And their relatives, their wealth in Sri Lanka, everything was recorded, and the Kilinochchi would decide how much money each family or each individual should contribute per month or per year. So it was a very systematic way of and sustainable way of collecting money. And also they had this international financial network based in Kilinochchi, and they had collectors and agents everywhere in the world. So based on this, we can conclude that LTT was the most sophisticated system of fundraising and transfer and money laundering in the world to date. No other terrorist group has come even near. So in conclusion, I can say the cost of impact of terrorist financing and money laundering and response to terrorism are substantial, especially for a developing country. No transnational terrorist organization can survive without finances for a long time. They normally operate outside the established international banking system, basically in order to cover their activities. And also there is a need for coordinated economic and financial impact understanding, the study of these two aspects at national and international level in order to understand the impact, economic cost of terrorism. And also there is a need to share intelligence, enhancing international cooperation, and better border security management is a must. And best practices and lessons learned. We heard quite a lot about Pakistan. We heard quite a lot of other wars in the contemporary history. So there can be best practices, and we can learn key lessons from these campaigns in order to find answers to that. There is also a need to strengthen the international legal system, and a powerful, effective body, maybe something like International Court Against Terrorism, should be established to tackle the growing menace of international terrorism. And also, we need to take action on request of foreign states and assistance in tracking down, freezing, restraining, and seizing assets alleged to be proceed of a particular crime, including acts of terrorism. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this I come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.